I'm very happy to introduce Hani Asfour. Hani Asfour is the founding partner of Polypod, and I love his story. I'm going to say a mini story before he says his really fuck-up story. So what happened was at the age of 19, Hani was born and raised in Beirut. At the age of 19, he had to flee for another security issue in Lebanon to the US, and he was supposedly going there for a couple of weeks, but turns out that he had to, get acquainted. So he applied to MIT. He didn't have any of his transcript or any of his documents from school or university. He had already started the first semester of architecture for undergrad at AUB. All he had was this yearbook he gave his aunt, and that's what he took to his MIT interview. They saw it, and he got in. And that was life-changing for him, and I think it really goes into everything that he does today. It expresses his work and his activism in the design community, both locally and internationally. So design matters, that's what he says. That's another talk. You can find it on TEDx Beirut. So Hani is the founding partner of Polypod, which is a collaborative design studio, very multidisciplinary. It fuses different works of architecture. So everybody here, the event is not here, I'm here. So it mixes architecture with web design and branding. It's really a progressive way of looking into design. He's also the current president of the Beirut Creative Cluster. He's a thought leader internationally in architecture and design, and I'm very happy to have Hani Asfour with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha, for this introduction. I didn't know you knew the details of the story.
I Googled it.
You Googled it? Okay. Well, thank you so much.
I was at TEDx as well.
Yes, you were. That's true. Thank you again. Thank you so much. Today I'm going to talk about a major fuck-up in my career at Polypod. And our vision at Polypod is basically to build a multidisciplinary, integrated, team, collaborative company full of designers and a lot of discourse that goes on, a very open space and all of that. And it comes this idea of collaboration, what we discovered after many trials and failures in trying to build a collaborative environment, that one of the key components is trust. You have to have trust between the team members, otherwise forget collaboration. And it takes a long time to build trust, so there are different ways to do it through teaming exercises. I won't go into that now. But what makes me believe in the power of collaboration is that group forming networks that allow people to join and leave groups like Alt City and other places, the value is shown to increase exponentially. It's one of the main ideas behind Polypod, which is about group forming networks, groups coming together ad hoc and producing value. And because of this belief, basically that what the value is that it allows people to be themselves, and when you are yourself, you become creative and innovative. And so if we can see the next slide. And so through our work, we came up with, we can come up with very exciting ideas, like this is a mosque, and it's not what you would expect a mosque to be. It's almost finished. This is an apartment building, and what we looked at was the dress of Marilyn Monroe to be inspired by this. This is a series of mermaids that come together that form a logo for, and this is a client that said he's brutal and ethical, and we actually went with that, and this is a UK Lebanon tech hub, which I highly recommend that you visit. And this is a Braveheart, and although it looks simple, it took a lot of team working to come up with that. That's the B and that's the heart. And so it became very simple. The client had wanted a mark that could be recognized without the words. So it was all done through teaming, etc. And so one of the things that we pride ourselves is that we listen to clients, and we're actually quite flexible. And About 4 years ago, the internet improved in Lebanon, and I felt, whoa, a growth area would be to design websites for clients. And so what I needed to do was to grow my team, to create an in-house development team. So we give them amazing turnkey solutions. And so we started looking, we found amazing talent. The city is full of amazing talent. We found them, we hired them, and we had this vision to build and eventually spin them off so we can do a lot of things. We felt quite autonomous. We got rid of our IT support company that worked with. We could do it in-house. We designed a spanking new website for Polypod. It felt amazing. We felt liberated. And then the leader of the group, the main hire, spun off on his own. He's very successful, doing a great job. But in the process, I looked around, we had clients, we had promised them we'll do amazing websites for them, and suddenly I was leading them. I became the project leader for the developers as well, and we had promised clients, we had promised so much to give them that I had to continue doing that. Now, our style of management is not to micromanage. We have a saying, now we hear it a lot, we say, I'd rather you ask me for forgiveness than for permission, which allows the team members to be strong and empowered and do what they do best. But in this case, it was a formula for disaster because I didn't know how to code. I couldn't see what they were doing, and I would trust them fully that they were doing a good job. And in fact, we were designing a website for one of our largest clients, and I had tested it before going to Qatar to meet with their board, and it was working fine. Of course, when I arrived in Qatar, the board was sitting there. They're all pissed off at each other because they didn't like the website. Some of them had promoted the website. So there was some in politics going on between them, but they were unhappy. It was such a negative energy in the room. And here I was going to show them our new website, and nothing worked. Nothing. So the images were in the wrong place, the links were broken, 404 codes, errors, you name it. And I was looking at my client. I had built like 4 years building this relationship with this client, and nothing worked. So I had a team member with me, and she was chatting with the development team in Beirut, and they were saying, fix this, and they were fixing it live, and you can imagine how shitty I felt. It was, everything was falling apart. The code didn't look good. I was shattered. I had built a dream, I had built a client, and in front of my eyes, it collapsed. To make things worse, one of my good friends is on the board. She took me aside, and she said to me, Hani, you're a designer. What the fuck are you doing developing? I was like, great, thank you. That's exactly what I needed to hear right now. So, you know, the flight back was very lonely. I was in my thoughts, and you know how they say when you're, you know, at the top, it's lonely. I mean, my team members on the plane were also depressed. We're all depressed. We're all down. When I got to the office, I sat with the developers, and I told them about the fuck-up, and I told them, sadly, I lost my trust in you, which is the foundation of collaboration, trust. But I lost my trust in them. But I needed to find a solution. And my solution was through my books. Yeah. And I looked at my books, and I started searching for the answer. And I realized I don't have a single book on development. They're all design books, but nothing on development. And it dawned on me that if you cannot mentor, you cannot lead. This was the revelation for me. Although I had this vision and this dream, but now I had to kill the dream. So what we did, we took the developers, we talked to them, and we gave them a 3-month transition period. I closed down the development team, and we made sure they were placed in different companies and that they were happy where they were. We delivered to our clients, and we scaled back. So if you cannot mentor, don't lead. And what we learned from this experience is that when you fail, retreat, regroup, and focus on your strengths. This is what will get you up again. So no more development. Focus on design and design thinking, design strategy, and rebuild it from scratch. I apologized to the client. I had a frank conversation with them, including my friend, and I told them, I promise I won't develop anymore. But what what happened is that they were gracious enough to give us a second chance, and we worked with the person who had spun off from us. We brought him back as a partner, but not as an in-house developer. And this year we won an outstanding award at the Interactive Media Awards for that particular website. So the client's happy, we're happy, and thank you. And we're doing what we do best. What we can mentor is design, and that's what we're going to focus on. Thank you. Thank you, Alex.
Any questions? We have a hand over there.
Okay, I don't have a question. I just want to say something.
Okay.
Hani Asfour is one of the most inspirational people that have ever taught me at university, and something I always remember and I always use every day of my life is I was a first year student and he was my design teacher, and I would go to him and nag like, what's not working, and this is not working, I can't see 3D, and this is awful and I'm gonna fail. And he'd be like, Miriam, don't search for problems, search for solutions. And this is something I always do.
Thank you. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you.
Would anyone like to add any comment or have a question?
Hi, I just want to ask, after that FuckUp, how did you convince the company to work again with you?
Charm, maybe? No, honestly, we had done so many, all the design work that we had done, the client was very happy with. And when I told him that we're not going to develop anymore, I could hear a huge sigh of relief. And he said, good, because then you can focus on the design. And he had suggested that we work with the developer that had spun off from our team, because initially we had worked, and he trusted that guy as a developer. We all do, we still work with them. So basically it was promising not to overstep and also to find the right partner for them. And we still work with them. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there any more questions or comments? All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hani.
Thank you, Aisha. Thank you. Thank you.